Let's tell the truth from the very first second. You have no idea who you're really facing. And the worst part is that you don't even care.
You walk through life assuming, interpreting, guessing emotions with the same accuracy as a blind person trying to solve a puzzle in the dark. Have you ever wondered how many people have manipulated your decisions, your emotions, even your relationships, while you didn't even notice the move? How many times have they read you like an open book, while you didn't even know you were being scanned? You think you're unpredictable, you think you're unique. And yet, anyone with the right tools can enter your mind as easily as they enter their own home. I'll tell you straight, reading someone is not a mystical gift reserved for the enlightened. It's psychology, it's observation, it's strategy. And you, right now, are completely exposed. Because here's the first secret. Everything you do, how you walk, how you talk, how you look when you think no one's watching, is shouting truths you yourself deny. You're an unprotected map, an unlocked diary. And there are those who know how to read every line, every gesture, every micro-expression as if it were a secret language only initiates understand. But don't worry, because that can change. Today, you're going to cross a door of no return. We're going to talk about how to see beyond words, how to become someone who not only observes, but deciphers. And for that, we have to invoke a mind that couldn't stand masks. Nietzsche, the philosopher who shamelessly said that man cannot stand the truth, and that's why he invents himself. But what if you could see that truth in others? What if every conversation, every silence, every fake smile could be an involuntary confession to your eyes? Here, we're not going to talk about theory. We're going to talk about 7 psychological tricks that disarm any facade. 7 ways to see what others hide. Because people lie all the time. But the body, the mind, and the emotions do not. You just have to know where to look. Now then, before I hand you this power, I'm going to warn you about something. Once you learn to read anyone instantly, you'll see things you might not want to see. The lie in the eyes of the one you trust the most. The insecurity in the smile of the one you thought was invincible. The emptiness in the voice of the one who tells you, "I love you." Because understanding people deeply doesn't give you peace. It gives you clarity, and clarity is an uncomfortable privilege. But if you're here, it's because something inside you is tired of not understanding. Tired of being the last to know. Tired of being manipulated, ignored, or simply invisible. Today, you're going to learn to read anyone. Not as a cheap trick, not as a dusty old seduction technique, but as a weapon. One that few master but everyone fears. Because when you know what a person thinks before they say it, you don't just control the conversation. You control the reality built within it. Perception is everything. And whoever controls perception controls the game. But beware. Because this knowledge doesn't just change how you see others. It changes how you see yourself. Because in the process of learning to decipher others, you'll begin to see your own mechanisms, your own masks, your own wounds. And that's where things get dangerous. Because maybe you realize you've been repeating patterns for years that you didn't even know were there. That your reactions aren't really yours, but echoes of old pains. That you haven't been yourself, but a version domesticated by fear, habit, and the need to fit in. That's why this video isn't for everyone. It's for those who no longer want to pretend they understand the world. It's for those who want to tear through the surface and see what lies underneath. And believe me, what's underneath is dirty, it's real, and sometimes it's brutal. But it's the truth. And in a world where everyone lies, the truth is the most dangerous weapon. So I make it clear from now, once you start, you won't be able to go back. Because once you learn to read people, you won't see gestures, you'll see patterns. You won't hear words, you'll hear intentions. And you won't see people, you'll see masks with cracks. And every crack, a hidden message. This is the beginning. The beginning of how to read anyone. The beginning of how to break the illusion. The beginning of how to become someone who doesn't need to ask to know, who doesn't need to assume to understand. We're going to use psychology as a scalpel. We're going to dissect behaviors. We're going to understand why someone crosses their arms when they lie, why they lower their voice when they feel guilt, why they touch their face when they're scared. And most importantly, we're going to learn how to use it, because seeing is not enough. You have to know when to act, when to press, when to stay silent, when to let silence reveal what words cannot. And now, if you're still here, it's because you're hungry for the truth, too. And if that's the case, welcome. Because this is not just another video, it's an initiation. And when it ends, you'll never see anyone, not even yourself, the same way again. You've crossed the first door. You're no longer the same. You feel it. Something in the way you look has changed. Now, you don't just listen to what someone says. You analyze it. You intuit. You perceive. But you're missing the most important thing, because looking is not enough. You have to know where to look, what to look for, what each hidden sign means. What comes next is not theory, not entertainment, not viral content. It's a lethal guide, the 7 most powerful ways to read any person. And I'm not talking about guessing, or assuming, or playing psychologist. I'm talking about detecting what even the other person doesn't know they're showing. 7 doors, 7 mechanisms, 7 codes to see someone else's mind without asking permission. Here begins the part that changes everything. First, rhythm over content. Don't just listen to what someone says, listen to how they say it. Words can be a mask. Rhythm, never. When a person speaks from confidence, their speech has cadence, it has air, it has pauses. When they lie, when they hide, when they feel watched, the rhythm changes. It can speed up absurdly, as if they had to get everything out before the lie collapses. Or it can slow down, as if each word had to be filtered for fear of saying too much. Rhythm is a direct reflection of the nervous system. No one can fully control it. It's the emotional fingerprint of what they're experiencing inside. Don't just look for what they say. Listen to the music behind the words. That's where the truth is. Second, micro-expressions. This isn't about watching big gestures or overacting. Those are easy to fake. What interests you is what happens in less than a second. The furrowed brow that tightens for just a millisecond. The lip that twitches in the middle of a forced smile. The gaze that blinks one more time than normal. Micro-expressions are reactions that come directly from the limbic system, the part of the brain that manages emotions and doesn't know how to lie. You can train your voice, your posture, even your tears. But you can't train a micro-expression. That's why they're so valuable. They last briefly, yes. But if you know how to see them, they say everything. And when someone pretends to be happy, but their eyes reveal sadness, you've seen something even they don't accept. Third, reaction to silence. This is pure gold. Ask a difficult question, one that makes people uncomfortable, that touches some emotional nerve. And then, be silent. Stay quiet. Watch. Observe. Most people can't stand that emptiness. They move, laugh nervously, look away, fill the silence with meaningless phrases. That moment is an X-ray. The reaction to silence reveals more than 1,000 words, because when there's no script, when the other person doesn't know what to say, their raw truth appears. If they answer too quickly, they've probably trained themselves to cover up. If they take time but get uncomfortable, They're processing something they don't want to show. Don't fill the gaps. Let them be. Silence is the stage where truth peeks out without makeup. Fourth, physical inconsistencies. This is where everything falls apart. Because one thing is what someone says. Another, what their body screams. Someone can tell you they're calm while clenching their fists. They can tell you they're happy while their jaw tightens and their neck contracts. The body doesn't fully know how to act. Something always slips out. And what slips out is all you need to see. If the speech doesn't match the physiology, the real emotion is the one in the body. Always. Watch the fingers that twist together, the feet that move without reason, the blinking that speeds up. Those small movements aren't noise, they're confessions. Fifth, emotional narrative. Listen to how a person talks about others. Listen to how they justify their mistakes. The way someone tells their life reveals their internal pattern. If they always present themselves as a victim, if everything in their story is someone else's fault, if they constantly speak of the past with bitterness, you don't need more signs. That narrative pattern is their filter. And if you see the filter, you can anticipate their reaction to any new situation. The key is in the terms they use. They betrayed me. They failed me. They never understand me. Each word doesn't describe facts. It describes wounds. Whoever knows how to read emotional narrative knows how to read the soul. Sixth, repetition pattern. No one repeats by chance. Repeated decisions reveal compulsions. If someone always chooses destructive relationships, it's not bad luck. It's unresolved trauma. If someone always abandons projects at the first obstacle, it's not coincidence. It's fear of failure disguised as rationality. Repetitions are deep footprints. And if you observe what a person repeats, you can understand what they're avoiding, what they're looking for, and what they're running from. Ask about their past. Listen without judgment. Connect the dots. Repetition isn't the problem, it's the map. Seventh, the tension between what is shown and what is kept silent. This is the final point. People are not defined only by what they say, but by what they avoid. Watch the topics they dodge, the emotions they don't name, the people they never talk about. There lies the core. There lies the forbidden zone. And that forbidden zone is the most revealing. Because what we avoid tends to be what dominates us the most. If someone avoids talking about their father if they change the subject when you mention commitment, if they avert their gaze when you mention death, you've just touched their wound. The wound that governs everything. And if you know how to see that, then you can see everything. These 7 ways are not techniques. They are weapons, they are precision instruments, and they work even if the other person doesn't want to be read. Because no one can hide forever what the body, emotion, and history scream in every gesture, every pause, every choice. You've crossed the line. You're no longer a spectator. Now you're a reader. And every person in front of you is an open book waiting to be deciphered. And now that you know how to look, now that you have the 7 keys, tell me something. What are you going to do with this power? Because yes, it is power, but not everyone is prepared to hold it. Reading people is also accepting a brutal responsibility, because when you see what others don't see, you can no longer pretend you didn't see it. You can no longer keep believing in comfortable masks. You become a witness of truths others don't even dare to pronounce. And that hurts. Because the more you understand, the more you distance yourself. You realize how many relationships were pure scripts, how many conversations were pure disguise, how many decisions of others were just escape, need, fear. And yet you can't stop. Because once you start seeing the structure behind the theater, you can't enjoy the play without seeing the strings, the traps, the white lies that hold it all together. And that's where it becomes fascinating. Because you don't just see the lie, you also see the fragility, the raw beauty, the pain in the eyes of those who pretend to be strong. And then, judgment turns into compassion. You no longer laugh at the one who breaks. You understand. Because you've seen how that crack was built. Because now you know that all of us, absolutely all, are just layers of protection around a wound. And that makes you dangerous. Because now you can enter without breaking doors. Now you can touch truths without asking permission. Now you can be silent and still say more than all those who shout. Because you've understood, human language is not made only of words. It's made of gestures no one interprets, silences no one hears, patterns no one dares to recognize. And you are no longer nobody. You are a reader, interpreter, dissector of the invisible. So I'll tell you straight. This knowledge is not to decorate yourself. It's to move with intention. To know who you're really talking to, even if they pretend to be something else. To anticipate moves in relationships, business, friendships. To stop walking blindly. Now you can see. And when you see, fear changes. It's no longer fear of what's coming. It's fear of what was already there and you didn't want to notice. But that fear is not your enemy. It's your sign that you're awake. And if you've made it this far, it's because you're not like the others. The others disconnected in the first minute. Those who just want quick tips. Those who look for cardboard formulas. Not you. You wanted depth, and you've received it. Now you know, the human mind is a map full of secret symbols. And you, now, have the code. And now that we've made it this far, before we continue, I want to present the following to you. Our book, The Formula of Awakening, is now available. Do you feel like there's something inside you that wants to awaken, but you don't know where to start? Then I invite you to transform your way of thinking, and with it, your way of living. Discover who you can become. Start today. The link to get the ebook is in the first pinned comment of this video. Grab your copy now at a great price. With that said, let's continue with the video. So do me a favor. If this has moved you, if it has changed the way you see others, write it in the comments. But don't write just anything. Don't say, "I loved it," or "great video." Write just one sentence. "I no longer look, now I see." I want to know who really made it to the end, who really understood, who is part of this small minority that doesn't settle for the superficial. And if you're still hungry, because of course you are, subscribe now, because what's coming will break your schemas even more. This channel is not for entertaining you. It's to open your head in two and show you what no one wants you to see. Don't forget to activate the notification bell. Here we don't play with the algorithm, we play with the human mind. And before you go, remember this. In a world where everyone talks to be heard, you're going to learn to listen to understand. The difference is subtle, but it changes everything. See you in the next video. Or maybe not. Maybe you're already reading me even when I'm silent. Until then, distrust words, trust the cracks. And never forget, he who sees too much is not always welcome, but is always free.